You have been brainwashed. Who or what is the biggest influence on you? Is it your parents, your friends, your peers, your elders, your community? Is it a priest, a rabbi, an imam, a guru, a monk? Is it a religion, a philosophy, a spiritual system, a political ideology? Is it science? People who are obsessed with finding approval from their friends and peers are called other-directed. They are consumed with what others think about them. They are preoccupied with what those around them are saying and doing so that they can say and do the same. They are fixated on the latest fashions, with what's in and what's out, because they themselves are desperate to be in and not out. They suffer from a permanent anxiety that they will mess up, say or do something unacceptable, commit a howler, and be excluded from the group. They can't cope with being rejected, with being condemned to social isolation. They are often desperately lonely and have low self-confidence and self-esteem. Tradition-directed people are those who obsess over what their community thinks and what their elders tell them to do. At all costs, they must maintain the ancient tradition around which their lives revolve. Muslims are the clearest example. They are terrified of deviating from the Quran, an archaic book with no relevance to the 21st century. Keeping their old traditions going is the most important thing for these people. It defines their lives. They can't think for themselves. They think only in the ways dictated to them by old books, dead prophets, and the elders who indoctrinate them into the cult. Without the cult, they would be completely different people. People who are obsessed with obeying their parents, who have internalized all of the values of their parents, and are always guided by the moral compass that their parents instilled in them, are called inner-directed. They will defy their friends, peers and community to be true to their values. But they will never defy their parents. They don't think for themselves because they are carbon copies of their parents, hence have not been able to find their own way in life. However, they are confident and stable. They feel grounded by the values they live by. There are two other types of people. The anomic are those who can't cope with laws and regulations. These people just can't fit in. They are always on the margins, always struggling to find a place, always getting into trouble. They can't hold down jobs and relationships. They flit from one bad situation to the next. They have no stability. They are heavy drinkers and drug abusers. They often end up as criminals, or on welfare. The autonomous are those who are not anomic, and nor are they inner-directed, other-directed, or tradition-directed. They are self-creating, self-defining, and self-directing. They make their own way in life. They don't fear ostracism. They don't feel compelled to ingratiate themselves with others. They have scant respect for decrepit traditions, and they find parent-obsessed people, chips off the old block, creepy. To which of these 5 types do you belong? Be honest now. You won't get anywhere in life if you're not honest with yourself. All of these different groups have their own culture, and they frequently hate the cultures of the other types. America is split up the middle by its culture wars. Right-wing conservatives are overwhelmingly tradition-directed and inner-directed. They are church-going, God-fearing Christians. Left-wing liberals are other-directed. They are attracted to Eastern religion, spirituality, New Ageism, pagan religions, alternative philosophies, and so on. They have no fondness for Christianity. All the different cultures are forcing themselves on you, trying to get you to go along with them, trying to make you become propagators of their memes. A culture cannot succeed unless it turns people into enthusiastic replicators and reproducers of its memes. Each culture works out all sorts of ways to convert you into its tool, its instrument. Look at Islam. It makes you pray 5 times a day in the direction of Mecca, it makes you plan going to Mecca on pilgrimage, it tells you what things are haram, forbidden, and which are halal, acceptable. It makes you fast all day during holy month. It dictates how you spend your time, what you do, what you wear, what you eat, who you marry, and even what you think. For a Muslim, Islam is on their mind all the time. Their only way to escape is to become an apostate and abandon everything they have known. If they do so, they will be disowned by their family and might even be killed. Much the same applies to Orthodox Judaism and Christian fundamentalism. Buddhist monks sacrifice everything to follow their Buddhist beliefs. The Buddha himself walked out on his wife and newborn baby in order to sit under a tree and meditate. Why is this man not universally hated? He is the worst father of all time, the worst role model conceivable. The Hindu culture imposes a brutal caste system on its adherents, at the bottom of which are the outcasts, the untouchables, who get all the worst jobs, such as cleaning toilets and transporting corpses. Western consumer culture turns everyone into mindless shoppers defined by what objects they own. They have to keep up with the latest trends and fashions. Free market capitalist culture turns everyone into commodities to be bought and sold. People are depersonalized and dehumanized. They themselves become commercial objects in a cutthroat market, carrying a price tag that is relentlessly going down if they fail to secure one of the small number of lucrative jobs in the world. As soon as they cease to have value, they are discarded and left on the scrap heap. You have found yourself in this battlefield of cultures, all of which are trying to impose themselves on you and force you to obey them and propagate their values. You never asked for any of this. You hate these cultures. You want something different, something that allows you to become who you truly are. Stop letting them control you. See through them. Break their brainwashing. Smash the norms of society. Explore your true self rather than the fake persona you wear in order to be acceptable to society. Become the best version of yourself. Become autonomous. Ditch the herd mentality. Ditch mainstream religion. Find yourself. Become yourself. Be yourself. Be an autonomous human being, free of the conditioning of society and its sinister cultures, none of which you chose, but by which you are always surrounded, and always subject to their tacit oppression. For you to live, these cultures must die. We need a brand new culture for the world, one that will give rise to a brand new humanity, to higher, self-actualizing humans. What is the best human race? It is the one in which everyone is optimized, everyone is giving it their all, everyone is making their maximum constructive, positive contribution, and feeling maximally fulfilled. It's nothing like the actual human race. 5-year-old boys and girls both think their own gender is brilliant. But at age 6, girls start to see themselves as less innately talented than boys. Gender differences have emerged. Misogynistic culture has done its work. Here's the curious thing. Cultural brainwashing is not wrong per se. What is wrong is bad cultural brainwashing. Imagine a society that has a culture through which it optimizes every citizen, through which it eradicates all of the strange forces, all the strange resistances, obstacles, prejudices and biases that act on people to prevent them from becoming confident, talented, productive people, capable of making the most of themselves. Brainwashing people to have irrational religious faith is disastrous. Brainwashing them to be rational and logical, to be clear and critical thinkers, is superb. Who could object to having their mind trained in the optimal way? Isn't that the point of education? What is education if not cultural brainwashing that is supposed to make us more valuable members of society? Idiotic cultural brainwashing must be opposed, while smart cultural brainwashing must be supported. The goal is to create an optimized culture that automatically produces optimized people. Society's real job is to rationally work out what the best culture is, the culture that leads to the best outcome for every individual in society, and thus to the best possible society, and this entails identifying which cultures are antithetical to this objective. All of the counterproductive cultures have to be eliminated. All productive cultures must be fostered. The people need to be brainwashed to resist the cultures that seek to prey on them, and brainwashed to be receptive to the cultures that seek to maximize their potential. It's impossible to avoid brainwashing. At the simplest level, we are all brainwashed by our parents when we are children. A child that grew up on its own on a desert island would not be brainwashed, but nor would it be human. It would be an unconscious animal with no language skills, and no ability to have complex thoughts. The opposite of brainwashing is retardation. If the optimal society did not use brainwashing to suppress suboptimal cultures, those cultures would rapidly flourish and return society to the kind of mess it's in now. You must fight fire with fire. If society could optimize itself in the absence of brainwashing, then that would naturally be the way to go, but it's impossible. All cultures, even the good ones, are necessarily totalitarian. They want you to do their bidding, and they do everything in their power to ensure they do. Islamic culture makes everyone into a fanatical Muslim who dreams of the whole world being Muslim, obeying Sharia law, and swearing by the Quran. That is a vision of hell on earth for non-Muslims. Brainwashing would need to be used to deprogram Muslims, and also prevent the emergence of any new religions similar to Islam. If the enemy is using the most sinister and effective brainwashing, you will definitely lose if you lack the determination to do the same to counteract their brainwashing. If they are willing to brainwash and you aren't, you have lost. It's as simple as that. You can't beat the power of brainwashing. We need an immense brainwashing program to undo all of the horrendous brainwashing to which humanity has hitherto been subjected. Without that immense new brainwashing, the rebooting brainwashing, nothing will change. People will never abandon their old beliefs and superstitious, their old bad habits, their old stupid ways of doing things. When people are asked to inconvenience themselves and get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to carry out a task that will benefit them, they say, "I love you, but I will be asleep." Have fun, a curious kind of love. This love involves no sacrifice, no engagement, and sleep is apparently preferable to love. Most people go through life fast asleep. They never wake up. They are useless. They can never contribute to any cause. They won't even get out of their bed. Our lives are all about choices. Some of the choices we make are good, and some are bad. The best society is the one that works out how best to create the cultural framework in which we are much more likely to do the right thing than the wrong thing, the smart thing than the stupid thing, the optimal thing than the suboptimal thing. There's a fine balance to be drawn between individualism, which can rapidly reduce to anarchy where everyone has their own truth, and collectivism, whereby we are in danger of becoming a conformist horde, locked into groupthink. We don't want mindless conformism, yet people must surely conform to objective standards such as truth, reason and logic. We don't want them to conform to silly religions and ideologies, but nor do we want them to become anomic non-conformists who worship greed and selfishness, and promote subjective narcissism, relativism and solipsism. We need to ditch the herd mentality, but not the cooperative, rational mentality. We must be strong, autonomous individuals, but also strong cooperators who know that any chain is only as strong as its weakest link. The optimal society is one in which even the weakest link is a wonderful, productive human being. Look at today's society. The weakest links are a disaster for themselves and everyone else. They drag everyone down. They break, and society breaks with them. A society cannot prosper if it allows enormous sections of society to degenerate and become bestial. If we all help each other, we make things better for all of us. If we don't help each other, everything is worse for everyone. The lucky few can buy their way out of trouble and hide behind gated communities. They leave the rest of us to rot, and we let them get away with it. What's wrong with us? It's time to act. It's time to change this society. It's time to get off your ass and do something. How do these topics relate to your everyday life? Why should you care about these things? It's because your whole life is defined by them. In a different culture, you would be an entirely different person. In an optimal culture, you would be an optimized version of yourself, a fulfilled version of yourself, with no regrets. Don't you want to become who you really are? Old culture has ruined you. New culture can transform you into something extraordinary, a marvel to behold. Imagine humanity full of optimal human beings, humans who are practically gods. Don't you want to live in a society of the divine, a community of gods and goddesses? Let's make it happen. William James said, "Most people never run far enough on their first wind to find out if they've got a second." Give your dreams all you've got, and you'll be amazed at the energy that comes out of you. We need to deprogram the world, then reprogram it. We all have a duty, an obligation, to make this world the best it can be, which means ensuring that everyone in it is fully optimized, that we are getting the most from everyone. We want to build the best of all possible worlds, and the best of all possible humanities. At the moment, all of the world's resources go into optimizing life for the elite, and letting everyone else decay and putrefy. This is a flagrantly non-optimal world. It has often been the worst of all possible worlds, punctuated only by occasional less bad systems. We have never had a genuinely good, intelligent, enlightened system. Mark Twain said, 20 years from now you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the ones you did. So throw off the bowlines. Sail away from the safe harbor. Catch the trade winds in your sails. Explore, dream, discover. Amen to that. The time for action has come. Stop making excuses. Change yourself and change society. What are you waiting for? Get real. Get active. Get going.